Heyo everyone! So the Game Awards have come and gone, and I said I was going to make this video, so here it is. Should remakes be eligible for Game of the Year? After Resident Evil 4 beat out other games like Final Fantasy 16 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor for a Game of the Year nomination, I think this is a fair discussion to be had. There's actually quite a bit to talk about. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Alright, let's get it. Before we begin, let me throw something out there. I am actually pro remakes. I know people like to shit on publishers for making remakes, and sometimes that's fair, but a lot of times I think that remakes are actually good for the industry. Unlike movies or books, video games don't always age very well. Whether that be clunky controls to outdated graphics, video games evolve fast. I mean, have you ever gone back to play a game from the PlayStation 1 era? Yeah, the game may still hold up for the most part, and nostalgia definitely plays a part in that, but the fun factor can sometimes get drowned out by how ancient the gameplay feels, even if the story and the ideas presented are still good. And some of these games aren't even readily available for modern consoles to play, which means that these stories and icons in video game history are completely inaccessible for newer gamers. So in that sense, I think remaking some games is great. Not all games need remakes, nor should they be remade, but some really benefit from it. And you can always go back and play the original if you don't like the remake. Unless you're a fan of Rockstar Games, but I digress. Okay, so remakes. I do not think they should be eligible for the Game of the Year award. Not because the games are bad, but because it kind of feels like a cop-out. Look, Resident Evil 4 being a remake and being nominated for Game of the Year has me a bit conflicted. I know it's a great game and people are loving it, but it seems kinda unfair to nominate this game over some other titles that may be a bit more deserving. Let me try to explain my reasoning here. When you're remaking a game, you get the benefit of knowing what your target audience wants and improvements that need to be made. It's basically a do-over in game development. On top of that, you don't really need to do too much else. The story is already in place, the mechanics are mostly figured out, and the level design is already built. You can just kind of put on a fresh coat of paint and make a few quality of life changes. Now, this is by no means taking away from Resident Evil 4. People are absolutely loving that remake and the changes that were made. However, the original is considered to be one of the greatest games ever made, which is why this nomination feels kinda like a phone-in. It just seems like an easy win, while new games, whether that be sequels or entirely new properties, have to forge their own path and innovate or tell a new story that's never been told before. There's just inherently more risk in making a brand new game than there is in a remake. Honestly, we've reached a point where older games get remade or remastered pretty frequently, which I'm okay with, like I mentioned earlier. Some of these games don't age the best, and re-releasing them with some modern updates can help people enjoy the game who never got the chance to play the original. But since there are so many remakes this year, we should just add in a new category at the Game Awards, right? I don't think it's a cheap award at all. Some remakes really stink, while others are a true testament to a game's greatness and the passion that devs have to recreate that. I mean, just this year we've had remakes/remasters for Resident Evil 4, Dead Space, Metroid Prime, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Advance Wars 1 and 2, and Pikmin 1 and 2. Maybe if publishers see that these games could win some hardware at the Game Awards, they'll put a bit more effort into re-releasing them instead of just doing a simple port. This could easily be a category at the Game Awards. I mean, some of these games are really freaking good, and I'm glad they got another release. This category could essentially be seen like the NBA All-Star Game or something. It's like a category of some of gaming's greatest hits. Obviously, the quality of the remake should factor in, but overall, I think this category could be highly competitive for some of gaming's most iconic titles. On the flip side, let's look at an argument against this. Just to play the devil's advocate, let's say we don't want a new category at the Game Awards. Maybe the Game of the Year award should go to the best game, regardless of its history. I don't know. I tried to think of arguments for this, and I can't really side with it. It's a compelling case, I agree, but I still believe that the game of the year should be a game that is new. Like, let's say for example that Resident Evil 4 did win Game of the Year this year. At the surface level, that kinda makes it sound like 2023 was a sucky year for video games, when in reality, it's anything but that. If someone were to look back at the Game of the Year winners and see that a remake won a Game of the Year, they're probably gonna wonder how bad its competition was. Like, how were there no new innovative games that came out to challenge this? Obviously, we know that 2023 was a game chock full of gems, but if you're someone in the future just browsing the Game of the Year winners, you might not notice that. You'll just think that 2023 was a weak year for games, and as a result, a game that's already come out before won the Game of the Year. To me, it seems kinda disrespectful to the devs behind Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom or Spider-Man 2 to have a remake be nominated for a Game of the Year award.
Soft. Overrated. Pretty boy. A bitch.
Not to mention the devs behind Final Fantasy 16 and Star Wars Jedi Survivor who didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year. I mean, these are some really great games that have fresh gameplay and incredible new stories. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Resident Evil 4, it's just that we've already seen this before, you know? But I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that remakes should be eligible for Game of the Year, or do you think they should have their own category? How would games like the Final Fantasy VII remake, which is kinda a remake but at the same time isn't, fit into this? I don't know, I'm not Geoff Keighley, I have a lot of questions as well. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, it means a lot. I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll catch you on the next one.